Okay. Good morning. We're going to be talking about the basics of meditation today. So, to start off, meditation has a lot of misconceptions about it. People think that you have to sit cross-legged for hours on end trying to silence your mind, and apparently other people think it's communing with spirits, and just a lot of things. I actually shared this thing one time that you may have seen it. It's a little meme or whatever going around like a while back that said, should kids be studying meditation in school? And obviously, yes, they should. They absolutely should. The funny thing is that I don't know how it is everywhere, but in my state, it's illegal to teach meditation in schools. And that probably has a lot to do with me living in the Bible Belt and the misconceptions, because people think that meditation is communing with spirits, and it's not. Meditation is learning who you are, how you are, and why you are that way. It's learning to control your emotions, your thoughts, your actions, your words, so that you can choose how to react instead of just automatically reacting. When something comes in to your aura, your area, your space, and happens, instead of just snapping and reacting, you are able to calmly take a step back and be like, hold on, and then react. Okay, in generally a more positive way. Meditation helps you create habits and break bad ones. It helps you navigate life and understand your purpose and find your happiness and contentment, and manage your emotions. Get rid of the negative ones, the angry, the sad, the depressed, the anxious, all of that, and cultivate love, happiness, peace, contentment. You see, a little bit of science behind meditation is we all start out more or less ambidextrous. Okay, as babies, we can pretty well use both our left and right hands universally. As we get older and we start using one or the other, we create more brain connections, more neural connections in our brain for, say, the right hand, if you're right hand dominant, and then you lose the connections to the part that controls your left hand. It's a use it or lose it type of situation. Our brain is constantly making connections between one thing to another. It's learning. As we learn, it makes these connections. As we don't practice things, we lose those connections. Another example, I spent like at least a year, possibly longer, studying French. Well, I also haven't practiced in like 5 years. So I lost those brain connections. Could I easily pick it back up if I studied a little bit? Probably. But just as far as coming out of my head right now, those brain connections aren't there anymore. So meditation, if you're sitting there and you're consciously making the effort to find the emotion of peace and contentment and happiness, and replace your anger and sadness with this, because we can do that. We can choose our emotions and we can bring in the feeling of love, contentment, happiness into our body. And as we do this more often, we make more brain connections to that, and we lose the ones that are so engulfed around anger, sadness, and all of that. We can use meditation to heal traumas from our past, from our childhood, from everything, all the things, change our belief systems so that we can make decisions better and then that more flow with who we are. Lots of things. Lots of things. Do people use it to commune with spirits? Probably. People do a lot of crazy things. Not that that's crazy. You know, you can. We're not going to get into that. It's fine if that's what you want to do. But the basis of meditation, that's not what it is. It's practicing controlling your mind. And absolutely everyone should be doing it, because, you know, then we won't have people out here making crazy decisions and bad decisions as often if we were cultivating self-control as a society. Kids could grow up more able to cope and adapt to change and situations, make better decisions for themselves, think about the consequences of their actions and their words and all of that. It's remarkable. One of the biggest things that millionaires and super successful people attribute to their success is meditation, because once again, it's learning to control your actions, your thoughts, all of that. I've had people tell me that they can agree to disagree with me, that it's not all communing with spirits and summoning demons. I just think that's crazy, guys. I think that's crazy. But that just shows the misinformation that's out there about these types of things. And things that give people power, such as meditations, have historically been suppressed and cultivated and given this demonic persona. You know, the people in power who have often in history been also religious leaders, it's a control thing. Because if you're meditating, you find a sense of freedom and control and power over yourself and your life. But if you're not, then oftentimes we feel small, insignificant, like we don't have control, all of those things that make it easier for someone else to come in and take control of your life for you. But that's probably a whole nother thing too. I'm going to fly through this, apparently. I have a lot to say about meditation. So, that's why don't right now, but I'm trying to create another section where I'm doing meditations specifically throughout the week so that I can bring them to you in some form or fashion. People have been asking for it, so I'm working on it slowly but surely. So when you're first starting out, you know, people think you need to sit in a certain position and breathe a certain way and clear your mind. And I mean, you can. That is a form of meditation, but there are 1,000 different forms of meditation, and each one unique and geared towards a specific desire or intention of the outcome. And you should really practice a lot of different types of meditation to find what best suits you, what best works for you. Some people, sitting still for an hour, cross-legged, trying to clear their mind, is absolute torture. And I could make the argument that the things that bring you the most discomfort are the things that you need to work on the most. But I mean, honestly, if you're miserable, then you can absolutely go for a walking meditation where you're taking a walk out in nature, out in the world, and just bringing awareness to your feet as they hit the ground, the birds in the sky and the sound of them, the wind, you're noticing the trees and the colors. You know, that is a form of meditation as well. We're not trying to silence our mind per se. You can, that once again, that can be your goal. And all you have to do there is sit there and try to silence it. It's probably not going to work the first 10 to 15 times you do it, okay? It's going to be hard in the beginning because we're thinking beings, okay? Our brain is very important. It's very active. It's constantly telling us things to help us navigate our world, to keep us safe, to manage our lives, like all the things. So it's spent the last X amount of years being turned on nonstop. It's not going to turn off easily because you have all of these brain connections around it being on. So you have to create brain connections for it being able to turn off. And this takes time. So as you sit there, it's easier to start out with a focal point. So find a place to like stare at and just study. And then once you find your mind is wandering, that's fine. It's completely normal. Just notice it and bring it back. And then it'll wander again. And then you notice it and you bring it back. And so on and so forth. And every time you notice it and bring it back, you're strengthening those brain connections for turning it off. And it'll get easier. And then you'll be able to focus longer. And you'll be able to stay clear and quiet longer. And it just goes on and so forth. So that's how you do that one. Don't be hard on yourself, okay? It's going to take time. It's a reason it's called a practice. You have to practice it, but it doesn't have to be time consuming. You can spend 2 minutes a day at first, and you'll find getting started is often the hardest part. Once you decide that you're going to spend 2 minutes meditating, set your alarm, set your phone down, look at the time, whatever, and then allow yourself to leave after those 2 minutes if that's what you want to do. But more often than not, you're going to sit there and you're like, this is kind of nice. Just giving yourself 2 minutes to not have to worry about to-do lists or getting anything done, or just taking time to exist where no expectations are laid upon you, where there are no judgments laid upon you. For 2 minutes, you can just lay all your responsibilities to the wayside and just exist. That's all you have to do for 2 minutes. And more often than not, you're going to find that you want to sit there longer, and that's fine. Do that. But get started. I started out with creating a pause around everything. So when I woke up in the morning, I would pause before I got out of bed and practice my deciding what emotion I wanted for that day and creating an intention around how I wanted the day to go. I would sometimes do a visualization of imagining myself getting out of bed, getting dressed. What was I going to wear? Well, then what was breakfast going to look like? What was my morning routine? What was I going to do then? What do I need to get accomplished that day? What are my goals for that day? That way I would map out my whole day before I would get out of bed, and then I would go do it. And things flowed a lot more easier because you weren't sitting around going, well, what should I do now? Or I don't know. And you just got up and you knew exactly what you wanted to do. And you already decided what emotion you wanted for that day, productivity, happiness, contentment, whatever. And then being in the shower, if you don't have anything distracting you, is a form of meditation. And that's why a lot of our best ideas come in the showers, because we're not distracted and we can just quiet our minds. We're just zoning into washing our hair and stuff, and it's routine, so you don't have to think about it. So it doesn't take any mind chatter. So our mind is free and open to think about other things. And that's when we come up with our best things. So there's, right before you go to bed at night, before you switch tasks, when one task ends, instead of just flying right into the next one, take a moment to collect yourself and find the emotion, intention, vibrations, whatever you need going into the next task. Meditation doesn't have to be clearing your mind. It can be focusing in on your surroundings. Okay, so most meditation is inwardly focused. So you're focused on you, yourself, in your head, controlling your body language, your emotions, your thoughts, your goals, thinking about the future, that kind of stuff, thinking about the past, figuring out where certain things stem from. For example, anxiety. What is surrounding your anxiety? What brings anxiety into your life? How did that come about? Did something happen? Was it something that somebody else did or said that bestowed a belief onto you that may not even be yours? Learning the root of who you are, how you are, and why you are. But that being said, a lot of us with anxiety and depression spend too much time inwardly focused, okay? We get it. We know why our anxiety is the way it is, and we know that the beliefs come from this or that, and, all of these things. But, sorry, I heard something outside, and I was making sure none of my kids escaped. Didn't hear a door open, but a lot of us spend too much time inwardly focused, and this can cause disassociation and trouble feeling grounded. And I have this problem. It feels like I'm not solid, like I may dematerialize at any moment into another dimension. Like, it's very disconcerting. And so inward focused meditation doesn't help my anxiety. It makes it worse most of the time. So to counteract this, outward focused meditation. So coming in contact with the solid floor, sitting on the floor, feeling its solidity, feeling your own solidity, consciously bringing the energy from up here, which is where we keep it most of the time, because we have all our senses are in this area mostly. We see, hear, taste, smell, all of that up here. So it makes sense that most of our energy and most of our consciousness, most of our attention would be up here. Take it, bring it down into the lower half of your body. The only thing you got down there is feelings, right? So bring it down here, create a solid stance so that you're in contact with the floor. You feel stable. Drop your shoulders back and down. We'll get to that in a sec. Focus on what you see. Really bring in the textures, the colors, any emotions tied to it. You don't have to judge anything. We're just noticing. We're not saying, oh, there's a tree. Oh, it grew funny. Why is it that color? It should be like this. We're not doing that. We're just noticing, oh, there's a tree. It has colors. It grew that direction. Anything you smell, anything you taste, you're just honing in to the physical environment around you as deeply and solid as you can get. And then feel yourself being a part of all that, and understand that you are physical and solid. And if you don't disassociate, then you might not understand. But it's a thing, Sometimes we don't feel solid. It's very floaty, maybe even dizzy. But coming back to that posture thing, our body is easier to convince of things than our mind is, okay? The body is intelligent too, but it doesn't speak in words or thoughts. It speaks in emotions, movement, things like that, our nervous system. So we can fool it into thinking we're calm by doing certain things that tell our body that we are calm. For example, rolling the shoulders back and down. This is a stress response. Being up here with your shoulders, it's a stress response. Back and down, it's going to tell our body that we're calm. Like, okay, All right. Opening the chest, the heart center. Laying on the floor with your chest as close to the floor as you can get it, usually on your side, but twisted down to place your chest as close to the floor as you can get. Regulates the nervous system and tells your nervous system that you're calm, because you know we would never turn our back to danger. Shaking, you can just shake and that'll help regulate your nervous system. You may see animals do this from time to time in transitions because it regulates the nervous system and helps everything chill out. Stretching, yoga, posture, those types of things. So tapping, there's EFT, is that what it is? Tapping helps regulate and bring down anxiety and whatnot. So there's lots of things that you can do. I think that's all I have today. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you're going to commit to 2 minutes a day of meditation. And in the meantime, if you're watching this on YouTube or on the blog post, join the Facebook group where you can communicate live with all of us on these lives every week. Tuesdays at 9:30 right now. I think I'm going to change that, but you know, stay tuned. They'll be around. Blog post for this comes out Thursday, so no need to worry about taking notes or anything because it'll all be in there. And if you haven't scheduled a free 30-minute call with me yet, please do so. You know, take advantage of that. No pitch, just we'll set up a time to talk about your problems and how we can fix them. And I will do my best to provide you as much value as I can in that short amount of time, and no obligations to go further than that if that's not what you want to do. So let me know, and I'll be around. And y'all have a great day. Namaste.